Barcelona drives Rashford out. Chiesa's transfer to Beşiktaş. Kylian Mbappé named his favorite for the Ballon d'Or and the new club of Marc Guehi. All of this and more in today's episode. Andre Onana has left Manchester United and gone on a one-year loan to Trabzonspor. The deal does not include a buyout option or a transfer fee, but it allows United to save about £3.7 million in salary. Interestingly, Onana himself will receive a salary increase. Trabzonspor is covering his full rate, adding bonuses and a signing bonus. The Cameroonian seeks stable playing practice before the African Cup of Nations, where his national team will play against Côte d'Ivoire, Gabon, and Mozambique. This is the end of a rather dramatic stage in Onana's career at United, from a £48 million transfer in 2023 to a series of mistakes and errors, where the final chord was the League Cup match against Grimsby. Now the number one at United will be Sene Lammens, who was recently acquired. Kylian Mbappé has clearly decided on his favorite for the Ballon d'Or. Ousmane deserves it. I supported him from the very beginning. If it were up to me, I would personally bring him the trophy home. He said these words in an interview with Telefoot, confirming his loyalty to his teammate from the French national team. Dembélé had a brilliant season with PSG, winning the Champions League, the French Cup, and Ligue 1, and it is these trophies that make him the main contender for the 2025 Ballon d'Or. As for the Champions League, Mbappé, now as a real player, does not hide his sympathies. I always say Real Madrid. In an interview with Bild, he added that the new format of the tournament made it even more interesting, and this year, the competition will be even tougher. Friends, who do you think deserves the Ballon d'Or this year? By the way, Ousmane Dembélé is out again, this time due to a serious injury to his right hamstring, which will keep the PSG and French national team winger off the field for about 6 weeks. His teammate Désiré Doué is also injured calf problems, an estimated 4-week break. Against the backdrop of this news, Dembélé shared emotional memories of his period at Barcelona, calling the club his childhood dream and a place where he grew as a person. It was not easy, considering that I came to the club after only 18 months of a professional career, 6 months at Rennes, and a year at Borussia Dortmund. At 20, to get into a locker room like Barcelona's, next to stars, with players I always dreamed of playing with, it was incredible. One way or another, I had to adapt. For 3 or 4 years, I was unlucky with injuries. When I could play, I had to adapt. When I couldn't, I had to stay strong. But I was doing what I loved and playing for my dream club, for Barcelona. It wasn't easy, but over time, everything became much better. I am happy with everything that happened at Barcelona. It was there that I truly grew as a person, both on and off the field. In addition, at Barcelona, I made many friends with whom I still communicate. It was a special period and, above all, a time of learning, the Frenchman said. West Ham has officially contacted Frank Lampard regarding a possible appointment instead of Graham Potter. Negotiations with Lampard's entourage began even before the recent 3-0 victory over Nottingham Forest, a sign that confidence in Potter is rapidly fading. Lampard, who took charge of Coventry at the end of 2024, has turned the club from a relegation contender into a real playoff favourite. The team is undefeated and leads in the number of goals scored in the Championship. Lampard himself openly states his readiness to return to the APL, and West Ham, where his legendary career began, looks like the ideal place for this comeback. Despite the victory over Forest, Potter's position remains precarious. A weak start to the season and tension between fans and management do not give him peace. The club is considering alternatives, including Jose Mourinho. Now, everything depends on Lampard. Will he stay to build a project at Coventry, or will he take the chance to return to the big screen of the Premier League? The emotional connection with his childhood club can play a decisive role. Tottenham is preparing a £100 million offer for Morgan Rogers, the star midfielder of Aston Villa, who has become one of the brightest players in the Premier League. After the departure of Daniel Levy, the club sharply changed its transfer policy and is now ready to invest big money in top players. Rogers is the first candidate for the flagship status of the new Spurs era. In Birmingham, they do not plan to sell the 2-3-year-old player, whose contract is valid until the summer of 2030, but £100 is a sum that makes even the most resilient brilliant think. Rodgers already has 17 goals and 17 assists in 73 matches for Villa, and his versatility, the ability to play both in the centre and on the flanks, makes him an ideal option for Tottenham. In London, they believe that such transfers can change the course of the season. If Villa does not agree, Tottenham is ready to include bonuses and percentages from future resale. Rodgers is still silent, but sources close to the player claim that he is open to a move if the clubs agree. After Spain's brilliant 6-0 victory over Turkey in the Euro 2026 qualifiers, 7-year-old Lamine Yamal was at the center of an unexpected incident. He lost his passport. The footballer was frantically looking for the document. He returned to the locker room, checked his belongings, and delayed the bus, but to no avail. The team went home, and Yamal remained blocked in Turkey. Footage is circulating on social media of him nervously walking near the bus, and his teammates are making funny remarks to him. However, the situation was quickly resolved. With the participation of the Spanish Football Federation and the local police, he was issued temporary documents, and that same evening he flew to Barcelona on a private plane. The incident ended without consequences, and Yamal is already preparing for training under the guidance of Hansi Flick. Beşiktaş is considering a possible transfer of Federico Chiesa after the Italian was not included in Liverpool's application for the 2025-26 Champions League season. The exclusion from the list only confirmed his status as a deep reserve player. Despite a loud transfer and high expectations, Chiesa spent almost the entire last season without playing practice. In Istanbul, they have already sent an inquiry about the availability of the footballer, and although Liverpool does not plan to let him go on loan, the Turkish club is ready to consider the option of a full transfer. Chiesa himself has not yet commented on the situation, but sources close to the player claim that he is not against a change of scenery, especially after his role in the team remained undefined. The Turkish transfer window closes on the 12th of September, so there is not much time left for a decision. If the deal goes through, I think it will be quite interesting. Erling Haaland got into a funny situation while in the camp of the Norwegian national team. The Manchester City striker suffered a facial injury after a collision with the door of the team bus. As the footballer himself reported on Snapchat, he received 3 stitches under his lower lip, accompanying the post with a funny comment, "Just got hit by a bus door. 3 stitches. Actually looks pretty good." The photos he posted show the characteristic wound, but, according to Haaland, the incident will not affect his participation in matches. Norwegian media specify that the injury occurred near the hotel in Oslo when the luggage compartment door suddenly opened. Haaland has already returned to training and is preparing for the match against Moldova, which will take place on the 9th of September. The situation with Marcus Rashford in Barcelona looks quite tense. According to Football 365, the Catalans are already considering the option of early termination of the loan just 45 days after his move from Manchester United. The main reason why Barca wants to return the English footballer is the lack of results. Rashford has not scored or assisted in the first 3 La Liga matches, and doubts have already appeared in the locker room about his role in the team. Some sources even compare him to the failed case of João Felix. In addition, as Spanish journalists report, Barca is disappointed with the player's character. They say he does not show enough motivation, does not fit into the team chemistry, and does not show leadership qualities. Barcelona has the right to terminate the agreement, but for this, it will have to pay compensation, about £4.3 m. At the same time, the club has the option to buy the player in the summer of 2026 for £25.3 million, although its activation currently seems unlikely. This looks like another episode in Rashford's unstable career, who returned to form after a loan at Aston Villa but failed to establish himself at Barca. If a decision is made, he will return to United, where, under the leadership of Ruben Amorim, there are also not many chances to play. January promises to be hot. Marc Guehi, the captain of Crystal Palace, has become the object of a transfer battle between Liverpool, Bayern, Barcelona, and Real. Liverpool was close to signing Guehi back in the summer. A £35 million deal was almost completed, but Palace stopped the transfer at the last moment. Now, as Guehi's contract is coming to an end, all the top clubs are preparing for a January attack. And now Manchester City has also entered the fight after Akanji's loan to Inter. The club is urgently looking for reinforcement in central defence. According to British sources, City valued Guehi at the same £35 million and considers him a direct competitor for Dias and Gvardiol. In addition, Guehi's transfer can become a strategic step not only to strengthen the defence, but also to prevent Liverpool from turning into an invincible force in the second half of the season. Pep Guardiola already has experience in integrating young English defenders, and Guehi fits perfectly into the City game model with a high defensive line, quick decision-making, and leadership qualities. Barca and Real traditionally hunt for players who can join for free in the summer, but they risk losing Guehi if they do not act now. The winter transfer window is the last chance for Palace to get at least some money for the transfer, and the club is ready to listen to offers. Guehi is not just a reliable centre-back, he is a leader who will strengthen any top club, so the competition for him will be fierce, but the final decision will be made by the footballer himself. And in which club would you like to see Guehi? Write in the comments. Officially, Presnel Kimpembe leaves Paris Saint-Germain after 20 years and signs a contract with Qatar SC. This is not just a transfer, it's the end of an era. An academy graduate, a 2018 World Cup champion, a vice-captain of the club who played 241 matches for PSG, is now opening a new page of his career in Doha. The last 2 seasons have been difficult, an Achilles injury, surgery, and a gradual loss of a place in the squad. Kimpembe was not even included in the application for the Champions League this season. According to L'Equipe, he rejected a Milan offer, choosing a project in Qatar partly due to the connections between Qatar SC and QSI, the owners of PSG. In his new club, he received the number 6 and the title Maestro. This is how he was presented in the presentation video. Paris says goodbye to one of the last representatives of the TT generation and does it with respect. He will forever remain part of the PSG family. Kasper Hjulmand will become the new head coach of Bayern. All the documents are already ready, and the 53-year-old Dane will sign a contract in the near future, in time for the first training session, which is scheduled in 48 hours. Hjulmand, who headed the Danish national team from 2020 to 2024, won the competition for the coaching position after the dismissal of Erik ten Hag. Bayern expects him to stabilize the team after an unsuccessful start to the season and prepare it for the match against Eintracht on the 12th of September, and he will make his Champions League debut on the 18th, ironically, in Copenhagen, the homeland of the new coach. This is Hjulmand's return to the Bundesliga. After an 11-year break in the 2014-15 season, he worked at Mainz for a short time. Now he gets a chance to rewrite his German history with a club that became champion in 2024. That's it for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Keep watching for more football action, and have a wonderful day.